Welcome to the Kitchen, where we help businesses find their own unique recipe for. Today, we're coming to you from Gardner, Maine, from a fantastic boat factory called Southport Boats. So, if you hear any background noise, that's people building boats. And we know how big boating is in South Florida, and it's been, every industry I think has been affected. With me is my co-host Tatiana. Hi, Tatiana.
Hey everyone. Hey Natalia. How are you?
I'm good. So we came up to Maine, and it's much cooler here than it is in Florida, isn't it? We are enjoying the weather, and it has been super interesting to visit this Southport Boat Factory. We know a lot of the boats are in the Northeast, but we also know that there are a few of them in Florida. And we are here talking to George Menezes, and George is the Chief Operating Officer of Southport Boats, and he has been designing and building boats in Maine for 30 plus years. So we're very excited to talk to George today. Hi, George. How are
guys.
you?
Very good. Good to be with you guys.
Well, welcome to the show. So tell us, so just like many other businesses, the pandemic has had a significant impact on the boating industry. So, and it affected Southport business, right? So George, tell us a little bit about Southport first.
Well, Southport Boats is a small company here in Maine. We build center console fishing boats and one model of a cruising boat. We've been in business here in Maine for a little over 10 years.
And how many employees do you have?
Currently, we're a little over 50 employees, and we're actually expanding. So we expect to hire maybe another 10 more in the next month or so.
Okay. Did you have to lay anybody off due to the COVID pandemic?
Well, we did. In fact, we felt a slowdown in late March, and by April 1st, we had to shut down due to some state regulations, as well as some material problems with the supply chain. So we shut down for about a month in April, the month of April.
Oh, so I know that in our restaurants that we also had the supply chain affected, and I'm sure that it gotten affected for a lot of businesses. So George, which type of materials do you use, and which parts of the supply chain got affected the most?
Well, we use a lot of materials. Composites are a big part of our build, but that industry was deemed essential, so we had plenty of availability for composite materials. What we found were some of our smaller vendors in different parts of the country, people that built cushions, custom hardware, and so forth. Those companies slowed down or shut down, and we don't stock excess inventory of that stuff. So when they shut down, it affected us immediately.
Well, so it's really incredible how this pandemic, what we don't think about is it affects not just the business itself, but so many other businesses that are connected. And we talk about all the time that, if something happens to even one team member, how it affects their family and the rest of the team, and how everybody has to really think about how the pivot can happen. So I know the boating industry right now is probably not a bad idea to actually, through the pandemic,
It's an easy way to social distance.
on the boat. So yeah. George, so how have your sales been before the pandemic?
Well, as we were in the fall, January and February, we had a really good period. That's sort of the beginning of our show season. So we were in January and February, we had one of the deepest backlogs we've ever had. And we were pretty excited about the year. But then in March, everything basically came to a screeching halt. All our retail activity pretty much stopped, like somebody flipped a switch, basically.
So in a number of boats, can you tell us how many boats you would typically sell before the pandemic and how much you were selling during the pandemic?
Well, we typically, we build a boat a week essentially. and our backlog was, several months. So before the pandemic, we were selling more than a boat a week, so we were building up our backlog. But when the pandemic hit, it basically all retail activity ended. So at the rate we were building boats, we were burning through our backlog quite quickly, and which is a concern because it's difficult. Once you build a company that's building at a certain pace and you sort of turn it down, it's difficult to get it going again.
So what did you guys do to overcome the challenges of sales? Did you guys have any special promotions going on or any kind of tips and tricks that you used to get that back up?
Sure. So we, as we recognized our backlog was burning up, we looked at what we could do to sort of generate some interest in our product as the world was sort of coming back to life, as little as it was. So we created a back to boating sales campaign, which was primarily a marketed program with social media and direct email to existing customers and dealers to try to move product that was in inventory and generate interest in new deals that were sort of on the fence maybe prior to the pandemic.
All right, and
how was the how did it work? How was the sorry, 1 second. How did that program work? So because I know that typically you sell boats through the network of dealers, or do you do direct sales as well, George?
Well, we sell through a dealer network, but we generate interest through whether it's boat shows or social media or print ads. But this campaign was pretty much narrowly focused through social media. We have a pretty robust social media presence. So we designed sort of a lot of timed social media notices around some sales incentives, what discounts on the boats through free options and so forth that the dealers could use to help incentivize some of our potential customers. We also use, Google ads, a lot of different sort of social media and internet-based sort of products.
So this is amazing. Again, we're coming back to this idea of, especially now, the importance of having very engaged following through your social media, because even a boat manufacturer, while having the network of dealers, have used this campaign through and utilizing the social media to create this campaign. So the campaign was really amazing. That George, you kind of give us a little bit of the what you guys have done. So you have taken a certain percentage of the cost of the boat and you offered it as options. Is that correct?
Correct. So what we did was we offered our dealers the tool of giving $12,000 worth of options away on every boat, and that's about could be as much as 5 to 7% of the value of the purchase price. So, and it's a significant amount of money. So that helped a lot of people that might have been sort of lingering before the pandemic that maybe came back out of the woodwork and got excited, and that might have pushed them over the edge.
So did you give them some kind of time frame to use this deal?
Yeah, we really wanted this to happen quickly because we needed to build our backlog up fast. So we set a 30-day time frame on this. So we went, with our dealer network, we said this program was going to end on a particular date. It was a 30-day program, and it was sort of a narrowly focused that way to try, give everybody a sense of urgency to make a decision. This wasn't going to go on forever.
And was it a successful campaign, George, for you guys?
Yes, as a result, we sold 10 more boats in a month, which was pretty exciting.
That is amazing.
And it's possible some of them might have been sales that might have happened anyway, but it really gave us the confidence to sort of ramp the company back up to the pace we were prior to the pandemic, because we're still suffering with some supply chain issues, but we're feeling really good about sales at this point.
So I'm sure that, George, you had to
close the factory, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We closed the factory for a month. We kept a few key people on board. We still had to work to arrange materials and keep things kind of warmed up. So when we brought everybody back, you know, we filled in a lot of the voids that we had from supplies.
That's amazing. And I feel like having that campaign, which is so unique. So the key points of the campaign are it was very short term. It gave a percentage of, so it was basically added a discount in adding in value, which was a great trick. But I'm sure that running has that campaign has not only helped your customers to save some money on buying a beautiful boat. By the way, in just a minute, we're going to show you guys this video because we walked around the factory and we filmed this video and we put it together for you. We want you to see it, to see how beautiful these boats are. But I'm sure that this campaign has also helped with the morale of the team here, right, George? Because it's quite, you know, demoralizing.
Or even bringing the staff back. I bet all those sales gave you the capability to bring everyone back to start building all those boats.
Yes, so we brought people back in early May, and frankly, if we didn't get some activity from this program, we might have brought fewer people back. So we were able to bring everyone back, and and since then things have continued to progress and sales have increased even more. So we're feeling very, very confident going into the season here, and we're actually, as I mentioned earlier, bringing on several new folks to the shop floor. So we'll hire 10 or so more in the next coming weeks and increase our throughput this year. And hopefully, by the time this is over, we'll be back where we would have been or better.
Well, it seems like you guys are doing all the right things, and we wish you so much luck, George. Thank you so much for coming on. And if we can play the video, please, that we shot in our visit in the factory. Thank you, George.
Thank you.
George.
Introducing Speak's contactless drone delivery. Our fleet of high-tech drones take food safety seriously, delivering orders from our restaurant right to you. Speak's Clam Bar can now provide complete contactless delivery of our seafood-centric Italian cuisine. Using your phone's GPS and advanced facial recognition, our drones know exactly where to deliver your order, wherever you are, contactless. Want spaghetti with your meatball? Now you can get it contactless. Got a hankering for some delicious hot-fried calamari or cool, mouth-watering shrimp? Get it anytime, contactless. What about a whole Maine lobster? We still have a few kinks to work out. Good thing we can still deliver your favorite Speaks meals the traditional way using automobiles. Speaks Clam Bar takeout and delivery. From our restaurant to your table. Safe and secure.
All right. So that was the Speaks video, which is one of the restaurants that we own, and we're trying to coordinate with our production team. So because we shot a little video of the boating factory while we were here, and we're gonna see if they can bring it up. But meanwhile, George, do you have any advice for? I know you're a veteran in the boating industry. Do you have any advice to other business owners on what can they do? What do you think is the most important thing that they should be focusing on right now while everybody's struggling?
I think one of the things you have to remember is nobody wanted to shut down. And it's not as though there was a recession or anything. So I think we all need to recognize that the demand for all our products never really went away. The ability for people to use them and purchase them sort of was parked for a period of time. So, what we felt was we just needed to make sure we got out in front of everybody so that when people began to feel comfortable buying again and using products, that they thought of our product and that we were still there for them and that we incentivized them to kind of come our way. But I really believe that as sort of the country opens up, things are just going to quickly move back to normal. There's a lot of pent up demand out there.
People want to be out, especially I know I have had the privilege of being out on the Southport boat, and they are beautiful. They're really well made, and I know you guys, you have you have 4 different types of models with between 27 and 33 feet, right, George?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. So I've had the privilege of being on one in Florida, and it's beautiful. It rides well. Georgian, what is the specific, like, what makes Southport super unique, you feel? Why do you have such a loyal following?
Well, I mean, as you mentioned earlier, we have a very, very loyal following in New England. It's a very great running boat. And but the other thing we do is we give people the ability to customize the boats to some extent, where a lot of builders don't do that. So you can come along and personalize your product. It's not cookie cutter like a lot of other products. So that really, gives us something that other builders don't offer.
And that's why probably the buyers were really excited about getting some of those options, because if they know your brand and they know the value of the options that they're getting, that is such a good incentive. And this is something for you to think, all the business owners out there, keep developing the brand, keep developing those relationships with your customers, keep developing the ability to customize, to add on, and
to incentivize them, to get creative and incentivize them. I mean, that makes me think of a local restaurant that I go to visit, a few times a week, where during the pandemic, anybody who supported them with takeout or delivery, they went ahead and gave them something for free with every order, which is kind of like what they did with the options, gives them some flexibility with changing things up without the extra cost.
Right. And I know that during this, we also had to pivot and get at our restaurants as well, which you saw speaks. We turned our bartenders and some of the servers, we give them an option to become delivery drivers for the restaurant. So that was one of the things. And then we have done a lot of stuff. So we've done family meals and cocktails to go. But I think that what makes this, what Southport has done so unique is because, George, I feel like you have utilized some really important strategies. That time-sensitive offer, that limited time offer, I mean, it is a brilliant strategy. I know psychologists talk about it. I've read an article in Psychology Today about what is the psychology of having that time limit on an offer. So, like, think about the last time that you bought something that's time limited. There is a clock ticking. I know with a lot of online entrepreneurs that create online courses, there's always some sort of a launch strategy for a product, for a course. There's usually, you can get a bonus before a certain date, for 24 hours, or for something like that. And then
think of QVC, how they have the time building down as you watch the whole episode.
George, so what was the last thing that you personally bought that you felt compelled to buy because there was a time limit put on buying something?
That's a good question.
Or maybe your wife.
Actually, it's funny. I mean, we're actually in the market. We just bought a tractor for our farm. And, there was some incentives for that. And we've been talking about it and wanted to do it, but it actually kind of pushed us over the edge to do it. So we've done that.
So you bought a tractor?
Yeah.
Because there was a limited time offer.
Yeah, that's correct.
Did you get a good deal on the tractor?
We did.
So, George, while we're in Maine, so we're visiting, and the weather is really beautiful here. How has situation been in Maine with the pandemic? I know the cases are down here, right?
Right.
Are businesses opening up again around here?
Yes, businesses are opening. I mean, Maine is really kind of on a dead-end road if you look at the map of the United States, because the border to Canada was closed, and nobody could get here unless they were already here. And so it was not as big an event here in Maine as it was down in Florida or any of the bigger cities. So but we acted like it could be that bad. Things closed. Essential businesses were allowed to open, but obviously restaurants and public gatherings were closed. And we're sort of opening up like everyone else is. And this weekend, restaurants are open again, campgrounds are open. The governor's lifted quarantine restrictions if you come from certain states, sort of within, you know, a couple of states from here. So
We had to take COVID tests before coming into me just yesterday.
So
Yeah.
so it's starting to feel like normal to some extent. We'll see, you know, but this is a big holiday weekend. I think we're going to see a lot of people back in Maine. We're a big tourist state, and we count on that.
I love the boating industry. George, one more question that I forgot to ask you that I'm happy that we have a little bit of time to ask. Where do most Southport boats are sold? Like which markets that are big for it? I know that there's only a couple of them in South Florida, right?
Right. Well, most of our boats are sold in New England. I would say from Annapolis, Maryland, north. About that accounts for, I would say, 75 to 80% of our sales. So, you know, we're working to expand our brand into the South. We have dealers in Florida now. We have a dealer in Puerto Rico that's very successful. So we're expanding. We're working on the Great Lakes. So we're a company that's growing. We expect to sort of have a footprint over the next few years. But, you know, because we're a New England-based company, our most popular dealers are.
Like I mentioned, you yourself have done this for over 30 years, George?
Yes, I've been in the industry pretty much my entire career. Spent quite a few years for a couple of other large boat manufacturers here in Maine. Designed a lot of product and built a lot of boats with them. And I joined Southport about 7 years ago. And, you know, when the company was just getting started. So we're excited about the future. We think things are going to pick up. We've got new product on the boards, and we expect to be introducing a lot of new things. So I think we're up and coming company that people.
Clam Bar is an award-winning, family-owned restaurant with 2 locations in Florida's Gulf Coast, Lakewood Ranch and St. Armand Circle. A New York-style Italian clam bar, Six offers fresh house-made pasta with homemade marinara sauce that runs on 3 speeds, sweet, medium, and hot. A wide variety of delicious fresh seafood, craft cocktails, all joyfully served in Prohibition-style decor, have made Six Clam Bar a favorite destination for locals and visitors alike. Our unique approach to accommodating guests with dietary restrictions has made Six one of the favorites among doctors and health enthusiasts. Bring your family and friends to Six today or get takeout. Our teams are always happy